Hello everyone, come with me with making this lush but still open bongo habitat. So let's get into it. So yeah, we're back. And today we're gonna build for the beautiful bongos. This habitat is, I was trying to get like a more of a natural feel with like these barriers that I'm gonna create. They're just the Indonesian wooden beams stacked on each other and then lowered in the ground and recolored a bit. But yeah, I wanted to like kind of get a more of a feeling that it's more natural and more like still a lush because of course the bongos are a bit shy animals. So I still wanted to get like I wanted to get them like enough that they have enough space to hide away from the guests. So that's why I went with like a dry mode kind of like just the terrain is lowered where the path meets the habitat, and I was going for like a little between area with a lot of foliage, because then the bongos can get a bit more shade and of course hiding places. And yeah, that's why I went with like a bigger side part in the corner. But that's basically that's basically the view. That's basically what I wanted to create with it habitat, and I think it turned out okay. It's not one of my best, but it's also not one of my worst. And I say that with every habitat, but I think this one really deserves the title because, well, it's kind of hard to create a lush African rainforest habitat in a temperate biome, because I still want to keep it realistic. So I don't want to like use a lot of tropical plants outdoors, and that's why I kind of went with a lot of rocks and a lot of dead trees, but some and a lot of big trees to just hide, just make it look more lush. But the habitat itself isn't really that lush, but the um, the trees make it just look better, because well, when you have the trees it just looks like there's a lot of foliage, but there aren't really much bushes. Uh, it's just it's just a lot of trees and some grass and some bushes, but not really that much. So yeah, the bongos are, of course, from the tropical rainforest in Africa, and these animals are really shy because, well, they live in the rainforest, so they don't really see much, and they really hide away in the bush. So that's why I created such a lush habitat. And also the bongos are the biggest forest antelopes because they weigh over 300 kilos. Well, the males can weigh over 300 kilos, or I don't know how many pounds that is, but yeah, I don't know how many pounds that is. But also the bongos, you can recognize them from their brown coat with the white stripes. The males usually have a darker coat, but the females can also have that. It just genetically so, but normally it it well, males have their coat are often darker than the females. And what's really rare about them is that uh, the males and the females have spiral horns, and that's really special for antelopes because, well, a lot, well, uh, a lot like males. Well, for a lot of antelope species, the males have horns because, well, it's to impress the ladies. Of course, it's to impress the ladies, and they kind of fight for females, but well, uh, in the African jungle, there are a lot of predators, and They can't really, in the jungle you can't really like get the sprint in to run away, so they kind of use these horns as a defense mechanism. And well, where other antelopes use these horns as a fighting as a fighting tool to impress the females fighting with other males. These animals use these for, of course, impressing the females, but also defending themselves. So that's why they both have horns, the female and the male. And yeah, you can see that I started out finishing the borders and then making the moat, and well, and then placing the path, of course. Uh, but this one, I think I wanted to create like where you can peek over, where you can look around the whole habitat, but some parts of the lantern are really lush, so they can hide. But some parts you can see through a bit, and other parts you can just fully look in, because I wanted to create some viewing points. But actually, I would just wanted that you can look everywhere in the habitat, but not really look everywhere, you know? So you can look in some parts really open, so you can really look at the animals, and in other parts you need to have a good eye to look at the animals in other parts. But that's what I wanted to create. And you can see that I started out with the little metal fences, like guarding rails. I'm not sure if that's enough to keep people from jumping in, but I wasn't really sure to add like a big fence. uh, so that's why I went with those little metal pieces, and they look really aesthetic. So that's why I went with them. But yeah, uh, this is the first habitat that doesn't have a rectangular shelter. So that it took some time to build the shelter, because well, first of all, I needed to select the wall. So needed to select the wall. So I first did. I think, yeah, you can see that I first just made a little dome. Well, what, like the how you create a dome. I think we all have seen such a tutorial. You just grab two walls and you just yeah, select them, and you just spin them around, and then you get a like a circle. But the thing was, I didn't put on a ceiling first, and I also didn't put the plaster in the middle. So that I had some fiddling around with that, because first of all I needed to like make a a ceiling. Well, first of all I did the plaster, and with the plaster the thing was I was like putting it on the inside of the wall with like the align to surface. Well, not, yeah, the align to surface, I think. Uh, but the thing was, when I was turning it, it just always sticks through a bit, and it doesn't look that great. So I literally hand placed all the plaster pieces inside the wall, because when I did the dome trick with the plaster pieces, they didn't want to turn the correct way, so I placed them all by hand. And that was really annoying, because I actually spent like 20 minutes just placing plaster. So that wasn't really that nice to build. But I really like how the inside turned out, because it's maybe a bit too much space for the detailing, because for the animals it looks great, you know, you have separate stalls, you have an entryway, you just, for the animals it looks great. But the thing was, I couldn't fill up the backstage because there was just too much room. So if you can look in the cinematic shots, you can see that I placed some pallets down, but there's still too much open area for my opinion. So that's why I have a love-hate relationship with this build, because yes, it looks, for the animal and for the outside and the animal part, it looks great. But then the inside, it's just so much room that I can't do anything with, because it's just too much to have a comfortable backstage area with enough space and enough detailing with like a lot of boxes, a lot of pallets, decals, such things. So yeah, that's basically why I love the build and also hate it. Well, don't really hate it, but I just don't like the that you can that the backstage is so open. I like a bit more of a crowded backstage with like a lot of detail and not a lot of room. So you have like I like a backstage that has a lot of detail in a small room. And with this habitat, I couldn't create it because this habitat is really big. Well, it doesn't look really big, but it is actually big. So that's why I kind of uh, wanted to make it smaller, but when I made it smaller, the proportions of the shelter with the habitat didn't like look that great. And also, I have like 8 bongos in this habitat, so that's also a bit weird to have a small shelter with 8 animals because then it gets really crowded. And yeah, when your backstage gets crowded, I don't think the animals can have a comfortable night or a comfortable shelter for the weather. So that's why I made their stalls a bit bigger, but it was still not big enough to get like a nice space for the backstage. So just when you see the backstage in the cinematic shots, just look. You just don't see it. Just don't see it. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. It looks a bit weird, but just ignore it. So you can see that I started with the rocks and with the terrain painting. The thing was, I was kind of going for those pacing trails, but you can see that a lot in big cats. But I'm not really sure if antelopes do it because, well, antelopes get a like a big open field often, and that's why it's sometimes harder to build for antelopes and for big cats or dogs because well, you get often there's just not that much foliage because they eat everything. And when there's not much foliage, you have a really open field with not much grass, with not much trees, with not much bushes. So you just have to do it with stones and dead trees and rocks. And so it's really hard to get a jungly feeling for this habitat because of course bongos eat everything. Well, they don't really eat everything. They mostly eat grass. So you can see that it looks like I went really heavy on the grass, but actually I'm just gonna sink it down so it looks way better. But yeah, now it kind of looks like I went really hard with the grass. But when I sink it down, it doesn't. Looks better because well, the tops of the grass stick out. So it's grass that is beginning to grow, but it's not fully grown yet because it doesn't get time to fully grow because then the bongos just eat it right away. So and I placed a lot of buffalo grass because yeah, I wanted to get that lush feeling, that lush tropical forest feeling. And that's why I went with a lot of buffalo grass because normally I don't place that much grass. I do it like this, but not that much grass. So you can see that you have like those pacing trails, and then in the middle it looks a bit funky because yeah, in the middle there is a lot of grass. But when I place the foliage around the habitat, it looks way better. And also a really nice tip is if you build from your viewing area, because the thing is the viewing area when it doesn't even matter when you're a YouTuber, when you're a just a creator. But some creators they don't film anything, but they put their habitat in a description for YouTuber that a YouTuber can tour their zoos. Because sometimes I think the Lady Designer and Rudy Rankcamel, they tour zoos, and some people they will submit their zoos, of course. And the thing is, when you submit their zoos, they aren't gonna go over your whole habitat. They're gonna look at the indoor. Well, if you say that you have built indoors for everything, they're gonna look at the indoor, and they're gonna look at the viewing areas, and they're gonna move to the next habitat. They're not gonna they're not gonna look at everything from the habitat. They're gonna look at little bits, and they're gonna look from the viewing area. So it's just a quick tip. Always build from your viewing area, because if people visit your zoo, they're not gonna go over the whole habitat. Of course, they can do that, but if they visit, they will view from the guest's view. So that's just a quick tip. But you can see that I added the tree guards in, and it was kind of harder because I was making like those cluster trees. So I needed to make like a bigger guard, but it ended up in the end it just looked nice. And I also went with with this little metal guard, and that's just for more bushes and stuff. But I think the tree guards are kind of the last things. Maybe I added a bit more bushes. But I hope you guys enjoy. And if you would just press on the subscribe button and the like button, I would really enjoy that. I keep on repeating myself, but it's really important for you guys to press it. So just press it. But that's it for today's video. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Enjoy the cinematic shots. There are 4 clips, so enjoy. Goodbye and subscribe.